For centuries, there has been knowledge so powerful, so transformative, that it has been locked away, hidden from the masses, and safeguarded by secret societies, religious institutions, and the elite. This is not fiction. It is history. From the burning of the Library of Alexandria to the persecution of those who dared to challenge the status quo, esoteric knowledge has always been treated as something dangerous. But why? What is it about these ancient teachings that make them so feared, so suppressed? The truth is, esoteric knowledge is not just information. It is power. Power over the self, power over perception, and power over reality itself. What if everything we have been taught about the world is merely the surface, and the real truths lie beneath, hidden in plain sight? Esoteric knowledge, by definition, is information meant to be understood by only a small group of people. Unlike mainstream teachings, which are spoon-fed to the masses in a way that maintains order and compliance, esoteric wisdom offers something radically different: the ability to see beyond the veil. It has existed in every ancient civilization, from the mystery schools of Egypt to the Hermetic traditions of Greece, the teachings of the Kabbalah, and the occult practices of the alchemists. Each of these systems presents a different path to the same goal: unlocking the deeper mechanics of reality and human consciousness. But why was this knowledge hidden? Why was it reserved for the few? The answer lies in its transformative potential. Esoteric teachings challenge the status quo. They question the very foundations of authority, religion, and societal structures. They empower individuals to think for themselves, to seek truth beyond what is presented to them, and that, historically, has been seen as a threat. One of the most infamous examples of the suppression of knowledge is the burning of the Library of Alexandria. This ancient library was said to house over 500,000 scrolls, containing the collective wisdom of the ancient world. It was a repository of science, philosophy, medicine, and spirituality. Yet, it was destroyed not once, but multiple times by those who sought to erase its contents from history. The loss of the Library of Alexandria is more than just a historical tragedy. It is a symbol of the ongoing battle between enlightenment and control. The knowledge contained within its walls was not just academic, it was transformative. It challenged the dominant narratives of the time and offered alternative ways of understanding the world. Its destruction was a deliberate act to ensure that such knowledge would not fall into the hands of the masses. Consider the teachings of Hermes Trismegistus, a legendary figure whose Hermetic principles influenced philosophers, alchemists, and even modern-day psychology. One of the most powerful Hermetic laws states, "As above, so below. As within, so without." This suggests that reality is a reflection, that the universe is fractal in nature, and that by understanding the microcosm, we can understand the macrocosm. This knowledge was not meant for everyone. It was reserved for initiates, those willing to dedicate themselves to unlocking its secrets. Even today, traces of Hermeticism appear in modern physics, particularly in the study of quantum mechanics, where the observer influences the observed, proving that perception shapes reality. The Hermetic teachings also emphasize the power of the mind. They suggest that our thoughts and intentions have a direct impact on the world around us. This idea, once considered mystical, is now being explored in fields like quantum physics and consciousness studies. The implications are profound. If our thoughts can influence reality, then we are far more powerful than we have been led to believe. Religious institutions have long played a role in suppressing esoteric teachings. Take, for example, the Gnostics, early Christians who believed that salvation came not from blind faith, but from personal enlightenment and direct knowledge of the divine. Their teachings were dangerous to the early church because they promoted self-empowerment over institutional control. Gnostic texts like the Gospel of Thomas suggest that the kingdom of God is not in the sky or in some distant afterlife, but within us. This contradicted the mainstream religious teachings of the time, which relied on control through doctrine, leading to the systematic destruction of Gnostic texts and the persecution of their followers. The discovery of the Nag Hammadi Library in 1945 revealed just how much had been erased from history. Hidden knowledge that, had it survived, might have changed the course of religious thought entirely. Alchemy is another prime example of esoteric knowledge being deliberately misunderstood. To the uninitiated, alchemy was merely an attempt to turn lead into gold, but to those who studied it deeply, it was something much greater. The transformation of base metals was symbolic of inner transformation, the evolution of the self. The philosopher's stone was not just a physical substance, it was a metaphor for enlightenment, the culmination of spiritual and intellectual refinement. This is why alchemy was considered heresy in many historical periods. Those who pursued it were often labeled as sorcerers or heretics, forced to conduct their studies in secrecy to avoid persecution. Yet, many of the scientific advancements we take for granted today stem from alchemical thought, including the foundations of chemistry and medicine. Even in modern times, esoteric teachings continue to be suppressed, though in more subtle ways. Consider how mainstream education focuses almost entirely on rote memorization and obedience, rather than critical thinking and self-discovery. Schools do not teach about consciousness, sacred geometry, or the power of thought. Why? Because knowledge is power, and an enlightened population is harder to control. This is why figures like Nikola Tesla, who openly spoke about energy, vibration, and frequency as the keys to understanding the universe, were often dismissed or ignored. Tesla once said, "If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." Yet, despite his revolutionary ideas, history books tend to focus more on Edison's corporate-friendly inventions than on Tesla's radical vision for free energy. One of the most well-known symbols of esoteric knowledge, being hidden in plain sight, is sacred geometry. Found in ancient architecture, religious symbols, and even the natural world, sacred geometry is the blueprint of creation. The Fibonacci sequence, the golden ratio, and the flower of life appear in everything from the spirals of galaxies to the growth patterns of plants. The ancients understood these mathematical principles long before modern science could prove them. The pyramids of Egypt, Stonehenge, and the Parthenon in Greece all incorporate sacred geometric principles. If these structures were merely built for aesthetic or religious purposes, why do they align so perfectly with cosmic cycles? The truth is, ancient civilizations knew far more about energy, frequency, and universal laws than we are led to believe. Even language itself has been manipulated to control knowledge. Consider the word occult. Today, it is often associated with dark magic or something forbidden, yet its original meaning simply meant hidden. The occult is nothing more than knowledge that has been obscured from public view, often because it challenges the mainstream narrative. The fear surrounding esoteric knowledge has been deliberately manufactured to keep people from seeking it out. So why does this knowledge remain hidden? The answer is simple: because true power lies in awareness. If people understood the true nature of reality, they would be harder to manipulate. If they realized that consciousness is not a byproduct of the brain, but something far greater, they would no longer be bound by fear. If they learned that ancient civilizations may have been technologically advanced in ways we cannot yet comprehend, history itself would need to be rewritten. The suppression of esoteric knowledge is not about keeping people safe, it is about keeping people controlled. The question now is, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you dismiss it as mere speculation? Or will you begin your own journey into the hidden truths of our world? The choice has always been yours. But remember this: those who seek knowledge find it, and those who find it are never the same again.